Hey everyone, Leander here, and welcome to part 2 of my mini-series on how to make a classic RPG-style battle sequence using basic web programming. Previously, we used HTML and CSS to set up our battle scene. Now, we're going to start adding sound and action using JavaScript. Now we're ready to start making things happen in this battle. And the first thing I'd like to make happen is I'd like to have some music play when the player arrives at this page. And in my previous tutorial on how to make a choose-your-own adventure game, I taught you a simple way to do that using the audio HTML element. Unfortunately, this way doesn't work anymore. And in fact, there's no reliable way right now to make audio or video play automatically when someone gets to your page. And there's actually a good reason for this. Basically, a lot of people are using smartphones and they're on limited data plans. And if they go to a website and that site automatically loads a video or audio file, even if they don't really want to see it or listen to it, they still have to pay for that data. So nowadays, most browsers require the user to interact with the page first before audio or video can be played. Usually that means clicking somewhere on the page. So what we are going to do is we are going to make music play the moment the player clicks anywhere in this window. And to do that, we are going to use JavaScript. For those of you who are new to JavaScript, JavaScript is what allows us to make a web page truly interactive. And to give you a feel for how it works, let's right-click somewhere on the page. I'm going to right-click on the hero and go to Inspect. This opens up the developer tools, and right now we're in the Elements tab, and this is kind of neat. We can see all the elements on the page. We can open them up, see what's inside. When we hover over an element over here, we can see it highlighted over here. That's neat. You can even edit or delete elements like that. And when you refresh the page, everything goes back to the way it was. But what I really want to show you is the console. So let's click on the console, and you can do a lot of cool things in here. You can do some simple math. You can do some more complicated math if you like. We're going to multiply using an asterisk, and we'll divide using a slash. There. Beautiful. But what's really neat about the console is we can do JavaScript right in here. For example, if we want to create a variable, to do that we type var and space. var means variable, of course. And then we name our variable. I'm going to call mine x and set it equal to something. Now we can do something like this. We can make other types of variables. They don't have to be numbers. We can make a string variable that's text. I'm going to call it an abbreviation for message here. And we can set that equal to some text, which we have to put in quotations, single quotes or double quotes. I'm going to use single quotes here. Right, and now we can use that variable. We can even add variables together like this. We can add text to a number. What happens? Okay, it just puts them together like that. But what's really neat about JavaScript is we can do things on this page. For example, what if we want to change the background color suddenly? Well, we can do this. Document.body.style.background color. And notice when I did background color here, I didn't do it the CSS way, which would use a hyphen like that, because hyphens are interpreted as minus signs. So that won't work. So instead, we just capitalize color. And this way of combining words is called camel case. So JavaScript uses a lot of camel case. And then we're going to set that equal to whatever color we like, which we have to put in quotations, single or double. So I'm going to use single quotes, and I'm going to do, how about light blue for me? And since light blue is also 2 words, I have to use camel case with that. So when I hit enter, voila, we have a light blue background color now. So that's kind of how JavaScript works. You can see the logic of JavaScript here. If you look, it starts with document, which if we look at our code, that's everything after this part. And it goes into the document and goes to the body, right? And so it goes to the body right here, right? All this stuff. And then it changes the style of the body. What part of the style? The background color. And it sets it equal to light blue, in my case. So pretty neat. Now, let's go ahead and make our song play using JavaScript. And let's leave our console open because this is really handy for detecting if we have any errors in our JavaScript code. To put JavaScript into our code, all we have to do is go down, let's go down toward the end of the body, and we'll add script tags. And our JavaScript code will go inside of these script tags. And the first thing we need to do is we need to create a variable for our song, and we'll call it song. So var song, and we set it equal to new audio. And the A in audio needs to be capitalized. Everything else should be lowercase. Parentheses. At the end of each line, we usually put a semicolon, just like we do with CSS. And then single quotes or double quotes inside of those parentheses. And inside of those quotations, we're going to put the name of the audio file that we want to play. So let's go find that. Here's the audio file I want to play. I'm just going to copy the name, the whole name of the file. You have to include the extension, of course, and paste it in. Now, back in our browser, if we type the name of the variable we just created, song, and click enter, it shows us this audio element. And that's what our song is. We've used new audio to load this audio file, and it's created this audio element. And to make that audio element play, all we have to do is type song.play with parentheses at the end, like this. Oh, there we go. It's a little bit loud, and it's very easy to decrease the volume. All we need to do is add song.volume equals, and we use numbers from 0 to 1. 0 meaning 0%, 1 meaning 100%. I'm going to try 0.3. Save that. Let's do that again. Song.play. That's better. So it looks easy enough to make this audio file play. Why don't we just go down in our code here, and just like we did in the console, we do song.play right here, and we don't forget the parentheses here, and just refresh the page. It should play automatically, right? Unfortunately, no. As you can see, we get an error here. And what does it say? It says, uncaught, in promise, DOM exception, play, failed because the user didn't interact with the document first. And the nice thing about errors in the console is they actually tell us where the error is. Right here at song.play. Sometimes that's wrong, by the way, but usually it's at least close to where your actual problem is. In our case, definitely the problem is song.play, and it's because the user didn't interact with the document first. So here you have it, folks. The user has to click somewhere or do something on the page in order to make audio or video allowed to play. So what we need to make this work is to go back here and make a function, and then have that function be called when someone clicks anywhere in the window. And so we're going to do that now. So back in our code, we are going to make a function. And to do that, you type function, and then you give your function a name. We're going to call ours play song. And then you put these parentheses after that. And after that, you put curly brackets, kind of like CSS. And inside of this play song function, which by the way, I put in camel case, and that's the way we normally do it in JavaScript, we're going to cut out song.play from up here and put it inside this function, like that. Now, we've defined our play song function right here, but we haven't called it yet. To call this function, when we click anywhere in the page, we have to go up, and we're going to go all the way up to our very first element, the HTML element, which covers the entire window. And we're going to add, inside of this tag, we're going to add onClick equals double quotations, and in those double quotations, we put the name of our function and open parentheses like this. Make sure you spell it exactly the same. So we have a capital S here, and don't forget the parentheses and the quotations. And that's how we do it. Let's give it a shot. So we'll refresh the page, and now I'll click anywhere in the window. How about down here? There we go. All right, now we can start working on the action in this battle sequence. So first, let's go down back into our JavaScript, and let's create a new function, and we'll call it fight. And we use the same format we used when we created play song. And let's call this function when someone clicks on fight. And to do that, we use the same technique we just used with play song. So we're gonna go up here, and inside of this list item tag for fight, we'll add onClick equals fight and parentheses, like that, in quotations. And we don't actually have anything inside our fight function yet, but let me show you something useful in JavaScript. That is how to log a message to the console. And here's how you do that. You do console.log and parentheses, and in those parentheses, you put whatever message or information you want to see in the console when this function is called. So I'm gonna say fight, like that. And so when we refresh the browser and click on fight, it should say fight in the console. Let's go check it out. Uh-oh, I don't see fight here. What happened? Let's go back and take a look. All right. Aha. Can you see my mistake? I wrote on lick instead of on click. So hopefully no one's going to be licking the screen. We have to fix our spelling here. Notice there was no error when I made this mistake. So yeah, this is one that sometimes happens. In fact, spelling errors are the most common errors that cause trouble when I program. So if you have a problem, it's probably your spelling. All right. Oh, and did you see that? When I had on lick here, fight was yellow. But when I put the C in here and made it on click, fight turned blue. So hopefully your text editor does things like that to help give you hints of whether you're doing things right or not. Okay, anyway, let's try this. Okay, there we go. Fight is right there. And if I keep clicking it, you can see it's logging it. It's logged it 8 times now. Now, let's make the hero move toward the enemy so that he can attack him. So to do that, let's go back into our code, and we're going to add to our fight function. But before that, we need to make a new variable. So you say var, and this variable is going to be called hero image, like this. And we're going to set it equal to the hero image element right here. And this is how we do that. We type document.getElementById in camel case, parentheses, quotations, and don't forget the semicolon. And in here, we're getting the element by its ID, right? So we put the ID of our element, which is hero. And now we have this image as a JavaScript variable. And we can do things to that image now in our functions. So let's go ahead, and in this function, we're going to type hero image.style.left to get the left position of the hero. And we're going to set that equal to 520 pixels. And we have to put this in quotations. And let's save that. And this should move our hero to a new position, to the left position, 520 pixels, when we click on fight. Let's see if that works. All right, there we go. Very nice. Now, I'd also like to temporarily disable our song, keep it from playing, because it's kind of annoying that it keeps playing every time I touch the screen right now. So let me show you a nice trick we can do for that. So when you want to take out some code temporarily, but maybe put it back on later, you can comment it out by doing this, // okay? And now we humans can see this code, but the browser can't see it anymore. So this is called commenting out your code, and it's really useful sometimes. So that's how we do that. Save that, and now when we refresh the page and click somewhere, the song doesn't play. The next thing I'd like to do is I would like to create some animation to make it look like the hero is hitting the enemy. And to do that, I'm going to use another image of the hero. Right here, I have this hero2 image. And so first, let's put that image on the screen, and let's position it so that it looks like the hero is hitting the enemy, okay? So let's go ahead and go up here, and I'll just copy this hero image element, and I'll change it to hero2, and also the ID too. And then let's save that and go ahead and see how that looks. All right, there's hero2. He's swinging his sword. And let's go position him. So we'll go up into our CSS and add hero2. And I'll just copy this information here and paste it into hero2, like that. And we'll change the left position to 520 pixels. We might change that later, but let's try that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, there he is. And so as you can see, he's behind the enemy right now. And there's a trick we can do to put him in front. Let me show you how to do that. We add z index, and everything by default is at a z index of 0. Z, by the way, if you remember math in junior high school or high school, if you have a 3D graph, Z is the depth dimension. So a lower number means it's kind of behind stuff, and a higher number means it's more in front. And everything is at a default Z index of 0. So if we put a number higher than 0, our hero should come out in front. Let's try that. We'll give him a z index of 1 and save that. And there he is. He's out in front now. And I'm going to move him forward just a little bit more. We'll change left to 600 and take a look at that. All right, that's really close, but I'm going to go with it for now, and we'll see how it looks. So the next step is we want to hide this image of the hero in the beginning. And we're going to, when someone clicks fight, the hero is going to move over here, and then this image of the hero will disappear, and this one will appear to make it look like he's swinging his sword. So the first thing we need to do in that process is make this version of the hero, hero 2, invisible in the beginning. So to do that, we first need to go ahead and create a variable in our JavaScript for our hero 2 image. And I'm just going to copy and paste this to do that. And then just change hero to hero 2, like that. Don't forget to change the ID. And then we go like this. We say hero 2 image dot style dot display equals none. Okay? And if this format looks familiar to you, it's because you can do the same thing in CSS by going like this. You go into the style for hero 2 and you add display none. It's the same thing. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if that works. So this code down here should just hide the hero 2 image right away as soon as the window opens up. Let's go ahead and see if that works. Okay, so hero 2 is hidden right now. Now let's try to code this whole animation sequence into the fight function. So after the regular hero image moves, we're going to hide it. So let's say hero image.style.display equals none. Next, we want to show the hero 2 image. And so I'm just going to copy this and change it to say hero 2 image.style.display equals, and here's how we make it appear, because right now it's set to none, of course. We simply set the display equal to empty quotations like this, and that will display the hero 2 image. So let's save that and see how that looks. Okay, there we go. Except, wait a minute. Let's watch that again. All right, as you maybe couldn't see, the transition between showing the regular hero image here and showing hero 2 was super fast. In fact, so fast that I couldn't see it. It's basically instant for us humans. And so that's just because the browser is super, super fast at doing this code. So what we need to do to make it look like the hero moves here and then swings his sword is we have to make the browser wait a little bit before we hide the regular hero image and show the hero 2 image. So how do we do that? Well, one way to do this is to set a timeout. And before we can do that, we need to make this part of our fight code, we need to make this its own function. So let's do that right now. We'll make a function called, how about show hero 2? And inside of this function, we will take these 2 lines of code and we'll paste them in. Now, here we'll say set time out, and then put on some parentheses. And inside of these parentheses, we put two things. First, we put the name of the function that we want to be called when the time goes to 0, and then we put how much time we want to wait. So let's put in show hero2, and we don't put parentheses on this, because when you put parentheses on, it'll make it call the function right away. So you just put the name of the function with no parentheses and then a comma, and then on this side, you put how long you want the browser to wait before it calls this function. And how about 150 milliseconds? Let's try this. Oh yeah, this is the number of milliseconds, by the way. So there are 1,000 milliseconds in 1 second. So this is pretty fast, 150 milliseconds. But we'll give that a try. So let's save that and then go back and try fighting again. Here we go. All right, that looks okay. I have one more image of the hero swinging his sword. It's this one here, Hero 3. And for this image, we're going to do basically the same type of thing we just did for the Hero 2 image. So let's go back to our code, and first we'll add on the Hero 3 HTML element, the Hero 3 image HTML element. So I'll just copy and paste and change 2 to 3. Next, well, why don't I refresh it first? There, Hero 3 is. Next, let's go ahead and style Hero 3, and that will be really easy because basically we're going to put him in the same place as Hero 2, right here. So we can just put a comma here and add on Hero 3. And we'll save that. And so there's Hero 3. And next we have to get the JavaScript variable for the Hero 3 image. And so to do that, we'll go down into our JavaScript, and we'll just copy and paste Hero 2 image and change 2 to 3. And nothing's changed here yet. Another thing we have to do, though, is we have to make Hero 3 disappear when the game first starts. So for that, I'm just going to copy and paste this line of code. And he has disappeared. Finally, we're going to make another function called show hero 3. And for that, I can just copy and paste this function. Put it below, and we'll just change a few things about it. First, we'll change the name of the function to show hero 3. Next, we'll hide the hero 2 image, and we'll show the hero 3 image. Now we make another set timeout, and this time we're going to call the show hero 3 image when the time runs out. And the amount of time we'll wait for this one will be 100 milliseconds longer than this one, so we're going to do 250 milliseconds. Now, when you do these set timeouts, you have to remember that basically these two set timeouts are going to start at the same time. They're going to start counting down at the same time. So if we want Hero 3 to start 100 milliseconds after Hero 2 is called, we basically have to do the set timeout for this much time plus 100 milliseconds. Again, because the browser is so fast, it's going to basically read these two nearly at the same time. So let's go ahead and save that and see how that looks. All right, not bad. Next, we need to hide hero 3 and show our original hero image again. So for that, we're going to create a regular show hero function. So I'll just put it right here and get rid of the 3. And we'll change 2 to 3 on this line. So we're hiding hero 3 image. And we'll make this just hero image and save that. And then we'll go down here and I'll just copy and paste this set timeout. And I'll change 3 to nothing. And we'll make this happen 100 milliseconds after this. So we'll just add on 100 milliseconds to get 350. And let's save that and see how that looks. Okay, pretty good. Next, we want the hero to go back to where he was before. So let's go ahead and make another function called hero return. And in here, we'll change the hero image's style, the left position, to the original left position, which was 20 pixels. We'll change it to 20 pixels. Like that, and then we'll make another set timeout for hero return, and we'll call this one 100 milliseconds after show hero gets called. Let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad. One more time. All right, pretty good. There's only one problem, and that is it doesn't really look like the enemy is affected by this attack. I mean, the enemy is not moving at all. So we need to do something to make that effect visible. So what we can do is we can make the enemy move back a little bit around the time that the hero is swinging his sword. So to do that, let's go ahead and create a new function, and we'll call it enemy get hit. And in this function, we'll put enemy image. Oh, wait a minute. We don't have an enemy image variable yet, I don't think. No, so we have to make the enemy image variable. So to do that, let's just copy and paste the hero image variable set up here. And we'll just change hero image to enemy image, and we have to remember to change the ID to enemy, of course. And after we do that, we can go back down into our enemy get hit function, and we can change the style of enemy image. We can change the left part of the style of enemy image to, let's see, where is our enemy at right now? Our enemy is at left 600. So let's make him move back about 30 pixels. So to do that, we need to move him to left 630. So we'll go over into our enemy get hit function, and we'll set the left position to 630 pixels. And now we'll go ahead and make a set timeout for this enemy get hit function, and we'll put it right here. And we'll wait 300 milliseconds, so just 50 milliseconds after show hero 3. Let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad. Now I think we need to have the enemy move back to his original position. So let's work on that. So to do this, let's make a new function called enemy return. And in there, we will set the style, the left position of the style to the original position of our enemy, which was 600 pixels. And then inside of the enemy get hit function, we will add a set timeout, and we'll call the enemy return function after 200 milliseconds. So let's see how that looks. Not bad, but we can do a little bit better. So let me show you a trick to make it look like the troll, the enemy here, is really getting hit. What we can do is we can change the enemy image's opacity while he's getting hit. So here's what we can do. We do enemy image.style.opacity equals, and remember, opacity goes from 0 to 1. 0 is 0%, 1 is 100%. Let's change it to half, so 0.5, when the enemy gets hit. And then inside of the enemy return function, we'll do enemy image.style.opacity equals 1. And we should probably spell enemy correctly to get that to work. So when the enemy gets hit, he'll fade to 50% of his normal opacity. And then when he returns, he'll go back to his normal 100% opacity. Let's see how that looks. Okay, one more time. Not bad. By the way, as I'm making this video, I just noticed that sometimes the video doesn't actually show some of the frames of this animation. So as you watch the video, you might say, wait a minute, Leander's hero is not actually swinging his sword, or the enemy, I don't see the enemy moving back. But trust me, they are. My cheap video recording setup just isn't catching it. So please just make it for yourself and you'll be able to see all that animation. So let's just keep going here. The next thing we need to do is we need to make the enemy attack the hero back. And actually before that, I think we need to kind of clean up our fight function here. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to create a new function called hero attack. And then I'm going to take all of this stuff out and put it in to the hero attack function. And then let's take out the return spaces here. And then in fight, we're just going to put hero attack. There, that looks a little cleaner. Next, we're going to create another function called enemy attack. And inside of this is going to go all of our enemy's movements when he's attacking us back. So then in the fight function, we're going to put set timeout. And we'll call the enemy attack function. And the hero attack function runs at about, basically it finishes in about a half a second. But just to make sure, let's have the enemy attack function begin after waiting for 1,000 milliseconds. So in other words, 1 whole second. So there'd probably be about a half a second where nothing's happening between the hero attack and enemy attack. Next, inside of the enemy attack function, let's start by changing the style of enemy image, changing the left position to, we want to bring him up right next to the hero. So how about 100 pixels? And let's see how that looks. Okay. Next, just like with our hero attack function, we want to show the other versions of our enemy, enemy 2 and enemy 3, these images right here. And so we need to make another function called show enemy 2. And wait a minute, we never actually put our enemy 2 and enemy 3 images on. So we better go do that. So let's go up and we'll copy the enemy image element here and paste it again. And let's change enemy to enemy 2 here, and let's change it to 3 here. There we go. And oh, we need to style our new enemy images. So I'll copy style for enemy and we'll change that to enemy 2, and we'll also put on enemy 3. And of course, we need to change, oops, enemy 3, and we need to change left to from 600 to 100. Now we can go ahead and create our enemy 2 image and enemy 3 image variables. So copy this and paste it here, paste it again, and we'll change this to enemy 2, and we'll change this to enemy 3, like that. Next, we need to hide enemy 2 image and enemy 3 image. So enemy 2 image dot style dot display equals none, and we'll copy that and paste it and change 2 to 3. And now we have our enemy 2 and enemy 3 image, and they're hidden. And we can go back to our show enemy 2 function and put in enemy image dot style dot display equals none, and we'll copy that and paste it and change enemy to enemy 2, the enemy image to enemy 2 image, and we'll change none to empty quotations. Next, in our enemy attack function, we'll go ahead and call a set timeout, and we'll do show enemy 2 in here. And I want our enemy to move slower than the hero because he's big. And so let's have the browser wait 200 milliseconds instead of 150 before it calls show enemy 2. All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, not bad. Next, let's show the enemy 3 image and then have our enemy return to its original position. So let's go ahead and make the show enemy 3 function, and I'll just copy this stuff here and paste it in. Show enemy 3, and we'll change enemy image to enemy 2 image, and we'll change enemy 2 image to enemy 3 image. And then we'll go in enemy attack. We'll copy this, and we'll put a little space here first. And we'll go ahead and paste it here and change show enemy 2 to show enemy 3. And we'll have it wait another 300 milliseconds after show enemy 2 is called. So we'll set this for 500 milliseconds. And let's take a look at that. Okay, not bad. Next, we need to make our regular show enemy function. So I'll copy this and paste it, and we'll fix it up. Show enemy, change this to enemy 3 image, and we'll change this to enemy image. And then in enemy attack, we will go ahead and I'll copy this and paste it and change that to show enemy. And we'll have it wait another 300 milliseconds before going back to the regular enemy image. So this will be 800. Let's take a look at that. Okay, pretty good. And then we will make another function, enemy return. And in here, I'll just copy this and we'll just paste it in here. And we'll set the left position to the original left position, which was 600 pixels. And then down here in our enemy attack function, we will go ahead and add another set timeout. And in here, we'll put the enemy return function. And we'll have it wait another 200 milliseconds after show enemy. So that means we put in 1,000 milliseconds here. We'll save that and take a look. Okay, pretty good, except for some reason, our enemy's opacity is still at 0.5, so we'll have to fix that. Okay, so I think I know what the problem is. We have enemy return here, right? That's the last function we call in enemy attack. And I made this enemy return function right here. But I've forgotten that back when we were making the hero attack function, I already made an enemy return function. It's right here. And as part of that function, I included this line of code, which changes the enemy's opacity back to 1. So I've made a mistake here by creating 2 enemy return functions, and the second one I created doesn't have that line of code that sets the enemy image's opacity back to 1. And since this is the second version that I made, this overwrites the original version. So to solve our problem, all I have to do is delete this second version that I made because I forgot I made one already. So let's delete that, save that, go ahead and check everything again. Okay, now it looks good. All right, we've made a lot of progress in this tutorial. We started with no JavaScript at all, and now we have a lot of JavaScript, and we've used it to make nearly all of the animation we need for this battle sequence. There are a few things we still need to do for our animation. For example, we need to make it so our hero reacts when he gets hit, but we are going to cover that in part 3 of this mini-series. We are also going to cover hit points and the damage system, as well as adding sound effects. So I hope you'll join me for that. Until then, take care and happy coding.